your former team, the Vikings, are moving former Patriots first-round pick N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver, to tight end. And before I get your thoughts on that, I have a list of a couple names. Do you have any former wide receivers that moved to tight ends and had any level of success? I have 4 names that I scribbled down here.
Go ahead. I did not do my homework on this.
Devin Funchess.
Okay.
Out of Michigan, played at Carolina for a little bit.
Yeah.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside struggled. The Stanford wide receiver struggled as a second-round pick of the Eagles. They moved into wide receiver. Yep. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Elijah Higgins, who we talked about last year during the draft process, was a wide receiver at Stanford. Yeah. Played with my guy, Michael Wilson.
When Michael Wilson played.
But he got drafted by the Dolphins, but he ended up playing for Arizona last year. Higgins did. He had 14 catches for 163 and a touchdown, so he did get some run as a tight end. And then, guy just retired, went to Georgia Tech. Darren Waller, wide receiver, and he was an outstanding tight end in the NFL. So, N'Keal Harry's thing for me coming out was that he wasn't necessarily that explosive, and never was able to get separation, and it just didn't work out for him because of that. But he's thick. He reminds me a little bit of like Juwan Johnson and that sort of player. I get the Juwans mixed up. There's one in New Orleans and one in San Francisco. Can he be that sort of player, or is he an inline guy?
I think that with today's game and these tight ends that are coming out in the draft, we all, put him in a category of pass catching tight ends. They can't run block. But the way offenses are trying to create mismatches by moving these bigger body receivers to tight end, they can fulfill a role. I was thinking, who was a tight end? Was there a tight end in New Orleans that got moved?
Juwan Johnson played at Tennessee, or he played at Oregon, I think, and then he's now in New Orleans. I'm looking it up now because I always get him confused. And there is Juwan Jennings is the wide receiver for San Francisco. They're both big body guys. But right. Juwan Johnson's listed as a tight end now for the Saints, and he played, let me double check. He played at Oregon. So he's
wasn't there a kid out of Texas that was a big receiver? I'm just trying to go through my Rolodex that got moved. Had 2 names for a last name. God,
I don't know.
St. John or something like that. Come on.
St. John, I don't know.
No, there was a big receiver that came out of Texas that played with New Orleans. I believe they got moved. Little Humphrey.
Oh, yes, Jordan Little Humphrey.
There you go.
Humphrey Jordan. What is it? Yeah, him.
Yeah, he got moved from receiver to tight end as well. God, am I good?
We had an old man moment there. I think Marcus Colson was a tight end at Hofstra, and he moved outside, so he may have gone the other way.
Yeah, I don't remember what he played at Hofstra. But the point is that there is a role for these type of players if they're not explosive enough to play outside as a receiver, that maybe if they're more than willing as a blocker, at least to get in the way and give some effort, that they can carve out a role.
Yeah, we had our old man moment there. But it's funny you say that because I remember this was back in 2011.
You didn't have him on your original list. I had to come up with that on my own.
Yeah. I still don't remember his full name. There's a Humphrey, there's a Little, and there's a Jordan in there. The order, I can't remember which the order is. But you're right, the Texas receiver. But it's funny, back in 2011, I remember going to CBS Sports headquarters down in Manhattan prior to the season starting and talking to Shannon Sharp, who used to be on NFL Today, because this was the time where the conversation was maybe Tim Tebow moves to tight end. And I remember him saying, look, you can look like Tim Tebow, but you got to want to be in line and have to block those defensive ends and block those outside linebackers because that's not something everyone wants to do. So that's the conversation that you got to figure out. And look, you've probably seen this a lot. When your job is on the line and your team is asking you to do something, you're not going to half-ass it. I would imagine N'Keal Harry's trying to learn how to be a good blocker if he's not good enough already, and he can catch the football, but the other stuff, the position change is what's going to have to require a lot of his effort, I would imagine, of these next few weeks.
Yeah. And again, until the pads come on, you're not going to know that.
Yeah, that's also true.